What is going on, sports card fiends? Hopefully you guys are having a wonderful day, and today we are here with a video on why I think that modern soccer singles are dead. Essentially, I am just out of the buying market for any of that type of stuff. The soccer products that have been released this year have just been endless, just one after another after another. I did come into the soccer market beginning of last year, and I mean, last year whenever I was around, it didn't seem like there were a ton of releases. I'd be kind of eager to get some Topps now, maybe some Topps Living, because I'd have to go on to Topps just to go and buy the singles, because the wax felt that unaffordable and that inaccessible. Which, to be fair, where the market was last year for sealed product is about as preposterous as where it is now. So, I mean, in reality, it's not that bad. But I will show you why I haven't been as hyped about the singles stuff that has been coming out of this product. Now I'm going to go to one of my favorites, because this is a USMNT channel. I'm going to go with a Topps Conrad, and that will be Topps Conrad De La Fuente cards. So as we can see here, there are 485 results up there, which quite a lot already. If I wanted to go with Topps Museum Conrad, this was essentially his first release of the year, and so whenever I had seen this come out, I was like, oh, okay, there aren't that many cards. Maybe it makes sense. And honestly, looking around, I mean, these are actually decently expensive at the moment. Will they stay there? I'm not really sure. But essentially, early on in the year, whenever this came out, I was like, oh boy, Conrad De La Fuente, Topps Museum, seems like a fun time. I mean, personally, I like Topps Museum set a lot just because of the RPAs that they have in there. But also, I mean, even their base cards and their numbered stuff look pretty good. So I was in the market for this type of stuff. And I mean, the listings that are up here are pretty high, but I'm guessing, yeah, they did not sell anywhere near that. So as you can see, if we include shipping, I mean, that's like $6, that's $8, that's $7. Why everyone can, why are these cards being shipped for $5? I do not understand how people cannot figure out how to ship for $1 on eBay. I might have to just make a video on that. It seems like the simplest thing. Just whenever you go to ship, just literally click like the under $20 cards, and it'll be $1 or less, and you can just send it in an envelope. But people aren't going out there and putting the time in, and it's so silly, because I mean, all of these people, except the COMC you could technically just buy and then keep it there, but everywhere else, it's like, why are people paying $5 shipping on a card that maybe worth $10? Okay, so for an example here, this Conrad, $25 for an out of 99. Whenever this had come out originally, like the first one to sell was about $90. So obviously that's a big loss. Personally, I mean, kind of to be expected. I grabbed one of these a little bit later for about $40, which I thought was also pretty good at the time. It doesn't seem to be terrible, but at the same time, when you see how much product has come out, when we go back to just Topps Conrad, instead of getting the cool little 18 results that we got before, or the 60 sold listing results, now we have 500. And just scrolling through here, so at the beginning of the year, essentially, I thought like, okay, Topps Museum, we'll get some Topps Crown, we'll get some Sapphire, we'll get some this, that. There probably won't be too much though, especially, I mean, for me, I was like, well, Conrad's a B team player for Barca. Sure, he's on Barca, but I mean, are people really going to want to put him in products? And apparently the answer is yes. So looking around here, I mean, this just gives an example as to why. So originally I was like, okay, Topps Museum, that's fun. Now we got Topps Museum, Topps Finest, then you have the Merlin Chrome, then you have the Topps Sapphire, then you have the Topps Chrome, then you have the variations, then you have the numbered, then yeah, I mean, it's just, there's so much product out at this point, and this is still, only halfway through the year. Like, I'm sure there is more to come, and already, I mean, you can just see that eBay's flooded. I mean, if we look at the last 2 days, I mean, that's what I'm scrolling through right now. It's been the last 2 days of Conrad De La Fuente, who, sure, he's American, people are going to like him for that reason, but other than that, I mean, there isn't going to be too much demand for his cards, unless, of course, he becomes something big, which is how it is for most people. But at the same time, if we go back and look, I'm going to go for an example here with Daryl D.K. Bowman, a U.S. men's national team example here. This is a card that last year, when there wasn't much product, was essentially his only rookie. And as you can see, base cards go for 90. Now, Daryl D.K., a bit more promising than Conrad, and more prominent in the current stature of the U.S., I guess, but just looking at that, like, you can tell the discrepancy between a card that isn't printed much can be worth $90 as a base card versus a card that's, or cards that are going to be printed a lot this year and opened a lot this year, and those are basically worthless. And the crazier part to understand with the Conrad, example that I was showing previously is that, I mean, this is like the first couple months of these products being open. So this is probably the most expensive. Typically, whenever you have a new card hit the market, there will be, insane highs at the beginning. Then you start going down until you find that kind of bottom. Then you sit there for a while until supplies kind of dried up. And then from there, you'll take off. If supply dries up and people continue to want to buy it. Now that's the big if. I mean, here, with just how many cards are being released, I feel like that bottoming point where the market just sits for a long time will be just that, a long time. Like, with something like this, you're not going to have to rush to go get it because there's going to be plenty available. An example of someone like that where literally at the time I was like, there's just too many of these. People are not going to want them because they're too available. They're just too available. No one's going to feel like they're missing out or they have to get it now, or there's no sense of rush on someone like, for example, Matthew Hoppe. Essentially, when his card came out last year, he was kind of the next thing for our striker position for the USMNT. Everyone was kind of freaking out because he was scoring a good bit for a bad team in the Bundesliga, and so he ended up getting a Topps Now that's essentially his only rookie, or his truest of true rookies, and there's 10,000 printed. And because there was 10,000 printed, we can see that these things are still just sitting at $7-8. You'll see a buy it now go for $10-20 maybe. Why people would pay $95 for a graded version, I don't know, but I mean, at the end of the day, you can kind of see what's happening here. When these Topps Now came out, I mean, you could buy them for $5 probably, and so for them to still be worth, $5 to $10, it hasn't really done much. And reason being, there's just too many. It's too plentiful. And once that happens, it becomes really tricky to try and understand where the value is in the markets. I haven't even looked too much at Pedri, but this is another example where it's so wild. I don't understand who's paying these prices or why people are buying all this. I don't know. Some big fans, I would imagine, but when I look here, I mean, I look up Pedri, and just in cards printed this last year, you can see that, I mean, there is 2,700 sold listings. And this is for a midfielder, obviously young, promising for Barca, a lot of hype, but at the same time, there are Barca legends whose like rookie stuff is worth about as much as we're seeing right here. And as you can tell, there's 2,500 sold listings. How much is actually listed? There's another 1.1 thousand listed, so you better get in soon before they end up going off the market. I mean, you never know when these things are just gonna disappear. I mean, the way it's looking right now, I mean, it's just so silly, like, man, and people will pay decent prices because they see these cards and, they kind of use price memory, and they're like, all right, well, if this card's worth this, if this card's worth this, they just compare prices of cards. They don't compare the fundamentals behind the cards, and that's why I feel like people are just going to get burnt on this year's product, because if you don't understand the mass supply that is sitting there, you don't understand how long you're going to have to wait until there's some sort of potential. Maybe you're just a collector, maybe you truly like Pedri. If that's the case, then I mean, be all about it. I'm sure there are some good options out there for you to get in on, but if you're looking at this in terms of I want to buy some Pedri, maybe he has a good game and then I can get out on it, I mean, that's just not happening. So you better know going into these modern products that there's a good chance you might just be sitting on. So buy stuff you like, buy stuff you enjoy, and that should be the fundamentals behind what you're doing anyways, but this is just another reason to add that to your collection. So yeah, that is going to be it for this video. I mean, there's endless examples I could go in on eBay, but essentially anyone that has their rookie year product coming out this year, it is just a whirlwind to be a part of, and I would just recommend, just dabbling lightly. You don't want to be a big part of that market. But with that said, hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. If you guys did, make sure to leave a like. I would love to hear what your guys' thoughts are on the products down below. Also, tell me which ones are your favorite, because honestly, looking at all of them, I don't really know what to pick out, but I would love to hear. And if you want to see more content like this as soon as it goes live, make sure to subscribe. And with that said, hopefully you have a wonderful day, and peace.